Getting ready to pressure cook my Roma Italia green beans. We picked 20 pints, broke them, got them cold packed in the jars. Then I'm gonna cold fill them. Put a half a tablespoon of salt in each jar, fill them up to 1 inch below the top with the water. Then I'll stick them in this big bad boy here. I can get 14 pints in here at a time. And I have a 4-pint pressure cooker that I'm going to use, so I can do a lot of them at one time. Anyway, then we're going to go out here to the double burner. Going to move the gator, fire up my double burner, set my big pressure cookers on there and let them have at it. And we'll have some fresh canned Roma Italia green beans. They came from that little bitty row short row right there. Got grass all around it and everything. Beans made of. It's a first picking, but they're awesome. Tomatoes everywhere green. Peppers, pumpkins, squash plants out behind the tomato plants. Anyway, we're gonna have a good time eating these bad boys. I love them. If you're gonna try pressure canning, I advise you to get a book on it. Ball, several different people have good instructions. They're all over the internet. Google it. Go by the book. Except for I use old flats. As long as they're not pitted where they sit on the jar. I've never lost a jar by using an old flat yet. But anyway, my advice is get your books, read them, go from there. Work with it, you can tweak it. I just do the cold packing because I hate to cook all half the nutrients out of the beans, then turn around, pressure cook them, and cook a bunch out. So I do the cold pack. Okay, I have a pressure cooker that will cook 14 pints. I got 16 pints of beans. So I'm going to do 14 of them in the 14-pint cooker. Then I'll do 2 more pints of beans and 2 pints of water to put in the 4-pint pressure cooker. I think that's kind of confusing. Then I'll have me some distilled water, whatever you want to call it. But when you're doing these beans and you fill them up with water after you get them in there, you pour salt in them. I've done all of them but these 2. Once you get your water and salt in there, you got to take something. They make a thing for this, but I can't find it. So I'm using this, I'm using this plastic fork. It's called getting the air out. Kind of moving it all around down in there. Go all the way around the sides of the jar. And it gets the air bubbles out. Like I said, I've already got my salt. I'm just cold packing. You want to keep this going, work it around in there. Kind of push them down. And this will get the extra air out. When you get this part done, your beans will kind of float up. You want to push them back in there. Make sure your water comes up to the bottom. Wrong jar. Comes up even with this ring right here, the first ring. You want to leave that inch of headspace in there. See, that water's low. But anyway, it's not a big thing. We can do it. So all these jars are ready. Now I'm going to put the flats. Just put your flat on there like that. Take your ring, and you want to screw your ring down on here. Man, I gotta figure out some way to hold them and do this. You don't want to break the ring, you just want to get it good and snug. Well, hard to do one hand. I ain't got a place to prop this thing up. See what I can do here. Anyway, you just want to Snug it down good. And I go ahead and get them all since I'm cold packing anyway. I'm not trying to save no heat. So I get them all cold packed and get them sealed off. Snug it is. It needs a little water. Get it flat on there. Get this one snug. I'll do that to all those jars and then I'll start pressure cooking. Simple, easy, really easy to do. And man, you're talking about some great food. Now that's great food. I could break some eggs and put in there. Try that in one jar, see how it tastes. Nah, better not. Wife get mad at me. She don't like me thinking outside the box. LOL. But I gotta hurry, I wanna go fishing. Okay, while I was putting my flats on there, I noticed one of them was damaged. You see that little nick right there? That would make it possibly lose its seal. Now, you see the little orange looking, dark orange colored ring on here? When you reuse flats, check and make sure there's no damage to this. Something like a big nick in it or a hole in it, big hole. It's a little rough, but when you tighten them rings down, you want to snug them down so that they will make this part here mate to the jar. That's all you gotta do. Okay, I'm just gonna put 9 in here rather than double fill this thing. And do it that way because I gotta cook 2 batches anyhow. So I'm over doing both in here. So anyhow, I have these in the water. You want to make sure there's at least an inch or so of water above the tops of them. And then all you gotta do is fire that bad boy up and let it start cooking. I better get my keys. Anyhow, so I'll just do it that way. Okay. I've got my flame lit. Now I do this outside to keep from heating the house up so much. Plus I get to sit on the porch, watch everything going on in the neighborhood. Spy on my neighbors and all that good stuff, which the problem with that is I can't see no neighbors. So maybe somebody come down the driveway and say hi or something, so I won't be here by myself all day. Never know. Anyhow, we'll see some turkeys, deer, blue heron, something will come by while we're doing our green beans. I bring my beans, I'll get my water heating up before I put the lid on. I'll get my water to come to almost a boil. Then I'll put my lid on and lock it down. Then I'll set my little weight, I call it the jiggler. Because that's what it's gonna do, it's gonna jiggle. Well, that burn cats have taken over my porch. I thought I'd done pause this thing, but anyway, I call this the jiggler. It has 5, 10, 15 pounds for the pressure on it. I set mine on 15. I live up on a mountain. If you live in lower elevations, I don't think you have to set it so high. Again, read your book that comes with your canner. People, this is not a dangerous thing if you just watch it. And when it starts jiggling, you'll want to just jiggle every so many seconds. You don't want it sitting there going shh. Just doing that the whole time, turn the heat off. Or don't turn it off, turn it down. If you turn it all the way off, it'll get real fast for a minute. So I turn it down, let it cool. Anyway, read your books, like I said. Don't want to bore you to death myself with all the details. We're getting a steam, a few bubbles. So she's fixing to come. It's really faster to do this on a gas deal than it is on an electric stove. Takes a little more time, but we're getting there. We're starting to bubble pretty good. Cool. I remember some of this. Like I say, read a book. You know, it's simple. Just get you one. There's so many other ways of doing it. So many recipes you can go ahead and make up before you can it. Just all kinds of great, amazing stuff. Green beans, to me, are no good if they don't taste like green beans. Roma Italians are the best tasting green beans you can get. When you get ready to lock this lid on, you put it on these little slots in here. Once you get it down in there, you see where it says close. That you line it up with that slot. Then you get it down on there, and then you turn the whole lid. Now, this thing has a little catch in it. I don't know if you can see it. Nope, it's up right now. As this builds up pressure, this little metal piece is going to come down here, through here, and lock in that latch. So you cannot take the lid off until it's cooled down enough. Our weight will go right there. We'll get ready. I'll wait till steam starts coming out of the top. When it starts steaming, then I'll put my weight on it. We're getting some activity here. Sounds like it's going to be violent. You can see the pot starting to move. We're getting some major boiling. That little safety in there hasn't come down yet, so I'm going to turn it down. And give it time. Bring that up. I usually stick the weight on there on the right setting. Sometimes so I don't lose it. Let's see. I can't tell if you can see the steam. Yeah, there is steam coming out now. So we're building pressure. This old canner leaks a little bit, but I don't worry about it. It still works. So I'm gonna put that back on there. Put it on 5 for now. Okay, the little safety is down in there now. You can see it. No way you're gonna open that lid till this thing cools off. It's gonna. Anyway, okay, we're jiggling just a little too much. Let's slow it down. Yeah, do like that about every 4 or 5 seconds. So you just gotta keep playing with it till you get it where you want it. About 30 more minutes. Well, actually they're probably done now, but I'm gonna give them a little bit more time. And that's 30 minutes. Since my water in my cooker is already hot now, my second batch, I've got water in this pan. I'm going to go ahead and heat these jars, because you don't want to put a jar of cold water in a jar of hot water. I mean, in a pan of hot water. It'll bust it. The water will be cooled down a lot, but it's still going to be pretty hot. And when I take the bottles that's in there now out and put these bottles in. So always remember that. Don't put cold jars in hot. Okay. The pot's cooled down enough. See if my latch come undone. Yep, you can see the latch is unlocked now. This is still warm, but it's not hot, so I'm going to take it off. Then I'm going to slowly twist my lid. It's kind of hard to do. Now don't ease that side up like I just did. You can get steam on you. When I'm using both hands, I do it like this. I tilt that away from me so if steam comes flying out like it just did, it don't come out in my face. You don't ever want to open the side facing you. Open the other side away from you. Let the rest of that steam cool, man. And looking good now. Let me go get my little pan. What did I do with it? So now I got my metal pan to set them on. I need to get a towel. I don't want to set them on that cold pan. I need to put a hand towel on it. Hold on a minute. Now that towel keeps them hot jars from hitting that cold metal. Get you some of these. These are cool, man. And use the jars out of there. Oh, yes. Look at that dark green colored water now. Them beans are beautiful. Those are going to be good. Yeah. Set your bottles on there. Oh man, I've got some left from last year, but whew, fresh beans. Anyway, I won't bore you with taking them all out. You want to try to leave a little space between them. See that it's still bubbling? Hear them popping? That means they're sealing off. And you want them all to be sealed. And you can check it once they cool by touching the top of the lid. And if it's down in there, it's sealed. If it's still up, it didn't seal. Now, sometimes if they don't seal during this process, you can redo them. Just save them for the next batch, or you can let them cool, stick them in your refrigerator, and have them for supper. But anyway, I never saw them away.